What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have basically gotten frustrated with the ranking system in the game, like myself with Overwatch 2. A lot of content creators have been talking about this for a very long time. It's basically saying that the rank doesn't mean anything. Ranked is broken. There's people that are in Masters that are in Gold. There's people that are in basically top 500 and or Grandmasters that are stuck in Diamond. Basically, a lot of people are mentioning that like the ranking system is causing Overwatch to go downhill. Now, I definitely gotta say that there are reasons why this exists, and I kind of understand how the ranking system works, and I'm going to explain to you why these games sometimes feel like that they are unwinnable or they're basically stacked for you or against you. This is going to be the gameplay that you guys are seeing's end stats. Over here you can see our stats when we eventually swap to Winston. We've got like 14 eliminations, then our other DPS has got 15, the other one's got 11. But look at the other team. This was a complete wipe. It looks like it's a completely different SR. It almost feels like you are playing, let's say, 2 or 3 divisions above or below you. And the weird thing is that you can't even queue up with your friends that are more than 2 divisions above you, meaning that it's within 10 ranks. So a Gold 5 player can play with like a Diamond 5, but it cannot play with anything outside of that range. But there's matches that are straight up feel like they're rigged, and why do they actually feel like this? This is another game over here where it's even some players that are stuck on your team. Look at this player over here with only 5 eliminations compared to the rest of the game. Like, he's in a completely different SR, and he's put into this game. Why?
The brother asked a very good question.
And it really comes down to a system that is designed to make it so players can queue up with other players in different SR if someone else is also of different SR. But it matters in the roles. To kind of explain this, the most simple way is, if you get, let's say, a Grandmaster's tank, their tank might be, let's say that they're in Platinum. I know it sounds crazy. But then there's another person, the healer on the other team, may be in Grandmasters as well. So you have 2 Grandmasters on the team, then you have 2 people in Plat. The difference is that certain roles matter potentially more depending on the characters they play. And that essentially is why Ranked is incredibly broken in the game. And they've actually talked about this, and I'll show you guys proof on this subject matter. Another thing with Ranked that I feel like is super frustrating is being placed in the same rank over and over again. And this has to do with the differences between Overwatch 1 and 2. Now in Overwatch 1, how you would actually rank up is every single game. Before they had like the number system, but before you'd be like anywhere, I don't remember if it was like lowest number, but like it was like 50 to some sort of number, right? They had a number that was like your rank number. But the thing is that they changed it so you could actually be in, you know, bronze, silver, gold, like that kind of stuff. They changed it to that, and then it would be all based off of the SR system, which was like basically every single time you won points, and depending on how many points you had, you would know exactly where you are. Whereas with Overwatch 2, you kind of play 7 well, you win, or until you get 7 wins, then the rank actually changes. It almost feels like a mystery, right? And that is the most frustrating thing to play, and especially if you're like, wait, I'm going positive. I won, let's say, 7 games. There's been people that have been reporting they're winning all 7 games and then the same rank. Some people are saying, well, that's just because that's the rank that you deserve.
Get what you deserve!
I feel like if you're winning games in that rank more than you're losing, and if you're at like 100% win rate for that session, why wouldn't you go up? That actually makes no sense to me, as well as the rest of the community.
That just makes no sense.
Now, I know in Overwatch 1, what they did was, if you were basically outside of your MMR in terms of the games detection, what they would do is if you won a game, they would give you, let's say, like 30 or 40 SR, but when you would lose a game, they would take away like, 17, or they would take away less. That way, the game's internal system would still place you at that rank, but it should just be based off of wins. But the way that it works in Overwatch 2 is just kind of up in the air. People are saying that stats do matter past Diamond, and this was only a thing up until Diamond in Overwatch 1. But in Overwatch 2, it just kind of feels like a mystery bag. You just won a bunch of games. Are you going to go up? Are you going to stay the same? It just feels a little bit frustrating to deal with. And especially with the amount of games sometimes that feel like are absolutely unwinnable. I also want to just briefly touch upon, like, how come there's not more maps in the map pool in rank section? Why do we have like random times where certain maps are disabled? Like, we have no access to Numbani. I understand that there's no more 2CP, but it's kind of weird that the whole ranking system, and in terms of frustration, playing on certain maps again and again, it'd be nice to just get more maps. I mean, they already exist in the game, right? So it'd be nice to see that. But let's go ahead and talk about why the ranking system is so messed up in the game. So first off, The most important thing is they talk about the skill. This is from the official Blizzard like website here, by the way. So they say that we love seeing you group up with your friends and having fun together because it's a game that's better with friends, right? But at the same time, you cannot party up with people that are within 10 rankings. So it's basically 2 divisions, if that makes any sense. They explain it more in here. I don't want to read over it. But again, let's say a gold 2 player can play with a diamond 2 player, but a gold 3 player cannot play with a diamond 2 player, right? But the matchmaker will still throw you in games that are like that.
Why the you lying? Stop lying.
That makes absolutely no sense at all, right?
It makes no damn sense.
You're not allowed to party up with your friends because the SR difference is too high. But we're gonna throw you in games anyways. Like, what is that logic? That is absolutely crazy. Now, going further into the skill variation to basically explain why games are so incredibly broken for ranked. So, they say over here that these matches can often feel imbalanced, and they are, if they create situations where there's a large disparity of skill within a single role between the 2 teams. For example, we might match a highly rated tank against a comparably lower rated tank. They just admit it right there. We're going to put a high ranked tank versus a low ranked tank. So even if the overall match is balanced, the competition between tanks feels very one-sided. So that's why I'm explaining back when I showed you guys this screenshot over here. It could be that the tank over here, let's say, I really doubt it's bronze, but I don't know, Overwatch Matchmaker is crazy. Maybe their Mercy was a Grandmaster Mercy, right? And then they're like, well, the Grandmaster Mercy, we'll trade it off, the other person will be a Grandmaster's tank, and then they gotta battle it out. A Grandmaster's Mercy is not gonna be able to realistically, like, compete with a Grandmaster tank if the Grandmaster Mercy also has a bronze tank. When if I have a bronze Mercy, I feel like they can kind of do somewhat of equal work, if that kind of makes any sense, because a Mercy's heal value is always going to be the same number, if that makes any sense. Yes, the Grandmaster Mercy player is going to be better, and I don't mean to pick on Mercy, but it's just the best example that I can give you, because the numbers of their output healing, it's either they're healing or they're not healing, whereas you go to a character, let's say like Winston, a Grandmaster's Winston and a Bronze Winston are going to be way, way different, right? Or if you take a Torbjorn, this would be another example. A Torbjorn's turret, sometimes the placement matters, but the Torbjorn turret that's like a bronze player will do the same amount of damage as a, you know, other higher level one. But if you take the Torb that's playing, let's say if we swap it to like a McCree, a difference between a top 500 McCree player and a top 500 Torb player, they're way too different, right? So it matters in the character role, but also with the actual player's rank. So that's why the ranking system is absolutely messed up in the game. Another thing that I wanted to touch upon, and I actually plan to make a video that goes over this in the future, but it has to do with the game balancing itself. When certain people climb up with a very high, meta hero, right? Let's say, for example, that Mercy was like super OP before, now that she got nerfed, right? That could happen. But also look at some of these changes to like what they're doing it for the sake of just doing things. And I would rather have some update than no update, believe me. But when you look at like Mercy over here, Mercy, they're like, okay, we're gonna buff Mercy. What's the buff? We give her 5 extra ammo.
Are you serious?
That doesn't make any sense. They swap the weapon time? Like, when people hear about like a character getting buffed, it really doesn't make too much sense to just give them a random numerical stat. Because like, how is this a buff to Mercy realistically? I mean, is it going to increase her win rate? Maybe. I mean, Mercy's not supposed to be doing DPS. You're giving people tools to do things that they're really not supposed to do. It would be like if they're like, okay, Moira's damage orb now does way more damage and her healing orb does 0. It's like they like would go in the opposite direction of what the hero was designed for. I know some people are like, dude, that'd be a sweet buff. But what I'm trying to say is some of these changes in the game in terms of rank system matter as well. Like, for example, Sojourn, let's say that they nerf her complete to the ground. A Grandmaster player that received Grandmasters that only played Sojourn, if they updated it, she could be, you know, at a completely different rank. So that would matter and be a factor as well, especially when a character gets completely reworked. Like, we know Roadhog is going to be completely gutted in terms of being able to one-shot, but he's going to get something else, right? Maybe someone climbed up, like, you know, for me, like, I got GM on Roadhog, but, you know, if he gets changed, maybe I'm a bronze Roadhog. So that kind of factors in as well. But really, at the end of the day, what it comes down to is what they mentioned with the whole system of putting people with the same rank system, as in like, we add up everyone's number and then let's say they divide it by 5, giving the entire match to be that gold, bronze, diamond, grandmaster, or whatever. But the thing is that some people may be of way higher numbers. And I've also noticed one thing with the game is they try to prioritize game queue times a little bit more. When I used to play Overwatch 1, especially like late at night, if if I was in like Masters or Grandmaster, these queue times would be like 30 to 45 minutes just to get one game. Now with Overwatch 2, what I've noticed is the games tend to like just match you up faster, but in return, sometimes you're playing on a different server. Like usually I'm about like 30 ping, but then sometimes if it doesn't give me a game, it'll just go onto an East Coast server where I'm going to have higher ping, which makes the game more frustrating. And sometimes people that play certain heroes, like for example, if you're playing Genji or Doomfist, if you're playing at like 150 ping, it makes the game significantly harder, right? Versus some other heroes. So maybe that's a factor too. They're just trying to make the queue time shorter, and this is the result of people complaining about queue times. I'm sure some of you guys have maybe seen other popular streamers. Sometimes half the game that they're playing isn't even Overwatch when they're streaming Overwatch. I know there's a player that was playing Mario Kart because his queue times were like an hour long. There's a lot of people that are just stuck in what's called like, you know, queue time simulator, right? And so to combat that, that's what they try to do. But anyways, this gameplay ends up being like 200 to 0 on this like capture point. But there is definitely something wrong with rank.
Something's wrong, I can feel it.
And they're saying that they're gonna fix it. And I honestly want to say, can we please just go back to the old system? The old system was way better in terms of SR. Now, in terms of the queue times and the wait, I kind of get it, and I honestly would rather have faster queue times versus waiting for a longer period of time. But at the same time, the ranking system to play and win 7 games and then you get a mystery rank, I think that needs to be addressed more than anything. And I don't know, tell me guys how you feel about it. You guys like the queue times, but in return, you may get a game where it's completely wrong in the SR. But even then, I still think the old SR system would be a nice change for the game, as in you actually know every single game, where am I ranking? Because let's say that you lose, because it goes up to 21 losses. You lose 20, if you're losing 20 games in a row, you're at a completely different SR system. But will the game internally change that, or will it still show the other one? What is the MMR? You don't know. It's a mystery because you haven't finished those games. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here, hit subscribe, turn that bell, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, and I'm out. Peace.